So we will get into the chapter. So verses 1 to 3, as we said, it speaks about the nature of the most confidential knowledge. What are the qualifications of the recipient? What is the qualifications to attain Krishna and all those things? We did. I would honestly recite verses and everything, but just for the interest of time, we will keep it with the translations. So the first verse speaks about the qualities of the recipient and the benefits of the knowledge that Krishna is going to give. If you have an access to a Bhagavad Gita, either like physical copy or a soft copy, you can turn to verse 1 of the chapter 9. So the translation, so you can also like kind of follow as I go through different verses. And then in verse 2, Krishna speaks about the glories of the knowledge that he is going to give in this chapter. And then he also speaks about what is the qualification to attain Krishna. So let's go verse by verse. Then the first verse, Krishna says, the reason that I'm speaking to you this knowledge, Arjuna, is because you are never envious of me. And that is why I'm imparting you this most confidential knowledge. And then he says, what is the benefit of this? So he says, once someone understands this knowledge and applies it in their own lives, they'll become relieved of the miseries of material existence. It will actually help them get liberated. So why is it so important to be non-envious, to receive knowledge about Krishna? Because envy makes us see Krishna not as a benefactor but as a competitor. So in that mood of envy, we are not able to absorb the knowledge that Krishna is giving. We are always agitated, thinking why he is great and why I'm not. So when a person is very envious of Krishna, it becomes very difficult to take the knowledge. Even in our daily lives, if we are kind of envious of someone, even if they have the best of the good qualities, even if they have great skills, and even if they are nice people, still if we are envious, we just cannot like just accept them. We will find some excuse to find faults with them. So that is why Krishna is saying here, okay, you're not envious, so you are like open to receive the knowledge that I'm going to speak. So that is why he is choosing Arjuna to speak this knowledge. And he will not actually interpret the knowledge in ways that he wants to. He would actually be interested in knowing what Krishna wants to say. And we also see this knowledge is very confidential. It's the most confidential knowledge. So like when we say it's something is very confidential, that means we don't want others to know. We keep our money or we keep our resources confidential, we keep our passwords very confidential because we don't want to know, want others to know. Is it like that Krishna makes this knowledge confidential? So what do you think? Is it like Krishna is like frugal, Krishna is like kind of secretive, that's why he keeps it confidential? Is that the case? Why is this confidential? If it is helpful for everyone, it should be known to everybody, right? Yes, Parnika.
I don't think that it's like confidential in the sense that Krishna doesn't want them to know. It's that even if he will tell them, they will not get it because they're envious.
Perfect. It's their own conditioning, their own consciousness, which is acting like a filter. Say sometimes the sun is fully visible, but if we close our eyes, then we are not experiencing the light. That does not mean the sun is not like giving out light. So similarly, as Parnika said, if our consciousness is covered, if our consciousness is especially covered with envy, then even though the knowledge is available, and even sometimes when we hear the knowledge, we cannot actually understand its essence and appreciate its potency because our heart is covered with envy. So that is why this is most confidential, because most people in this world are not actually open to knowing Krishna more, because Krishna is not like stopping this because it should not be known to others. Rather, he is actually coming in the heart of each and every soul as Paramatma and following and waiting to for the soul to turn to him so that this knowledge can be revealed. So he is waiting, but he is not forcing it. And because of our own envy, this knowledge becomes very rare to attain. So now that he has spoken about the qualities of the recipient, then he speaks about the knowledge, that what is the exact nature of this knowledge. And he says this is secret of secrets. Of course, we just discussed about that. It is the purest of knowledge. Why? And it is coming directly from Krishna. It can cleanse our mind, and because it gives direct perception of the self. Because what is the purpose of spiritual life? Is to realize oneself and also realize God, and that is the perfection of religion. So because it gives direct perception of the soul, it is called as the perfection of religion also, and it is everlasting. It's not like you perform now and then later you give it up after you achieve your results. No, the means and the goal is all bhakti. You continue to practice bhakti to get purified, and once you are purified, you continue to practice it more joyfully. So that is why it is called as Raja Vidya, and we will discuss each one of them more. Like, why is it important? Actually, like when we say this particular knowledge is like joyfully performed, or this particular knowledge is gives a vigyan, like which gives realization. So why is it so important to experience this knowledge? What do you think? This knowledge is so great, it's amazing to know.
Because
So
it's
not okay. Your voice
oh,
is breaking, Purva.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, is it better?
Yes.
No. Okay,
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
think it's because as conditioned souls we have forgotten it, but once we start practicing bhakti yoga, our soul remembers the connection with Krishna, and therefore it becomes joyful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the connection, when we connect with Krishna through this applying this knowledge, so then we have an experience. That experience with Krishna is a reservoir of pleasure. So when we come in connection with Krishna, so then we experience happiness. So that is why it is joyfully performed. And the other point about this particular verse is, yes, this is Raja Vidya, this is king of knowledge. So is it just provide insight? Because usually philosophy provides insight. Okay, how the world operates, what is the nature of the world is temporary, and this body is temporary, all that we have is temporary. So these are insights of that the philosophy can help us provide, and it's very valuable. However, just knowing is not very is much enough. So you ask many people, especially I've had this experience in India, you start speaking philosophy to them, they say I know everything, and they will actually give better explanations. Like you say the world is temporary, and they'll have 10 examples how so many rich people are miserable, or what is the point in earning so much, what are we going to take, and they will give you so many quotes and verses, everything. But the problem is they may have all this insight, which is very valuable, but they don't have taste for bhakti. The moment you ask them to chant, the moment you ask them to take out few minutes to actually spend in some devotional service, so then they don't have taste for that. The insight is there, the knowledge is there, but the experience, they did not apply that knowledge, so there is no spiritual growth. And because they don't have experience, there is no taste for performing bhakti. So it's very important to know education. The spiritual education can give us a lot of insight, but we need taste that comes from actually spiritual practice, experiencing the spiritual practice, the potency of bhakti. Purva?
Yes, Prabhuji. So why aren't these people able to put their knowledge into practice? What is it that prevents them from putting their knowledge into practice?
Lack of desire. They're
Oh,
absorbed in many things. So once they realize those very things are like not actually permanent, and whenever they can shift that focus, like that is why Krishna says the miseries in this world are there for a particular reason, to make us realize that this world is not the place. So it said like once a guy was standing on top of a building and throwing rupee notes. He was just like dollar notes, he was just like kind of throwing it from top of the building. So people are all gathered below, and then they're just happily collecting. And then he continues to does it like for many days. So people don't even care who's throwing the notes. All they cared was just they keep taking the notes and going away. So one day when they were picking up the dollar notes, he started throwing stones at them from the top. Immediately they all looked up saying, like, who's throwing these stones? Why is this person throwing stones at me? So as long as the dollar notes was there, they did not bother who is giving. So similarly in this world, we get so many good things, like life is going great, everything is going according to our plan, so-called our plan, and life is joyful, things are smooth, we're making money, we are experiencing luxury and comfort. We don't care who is providing all that. The moment there are difficulties, there are setbacks, there are challenges, there are troubles in life, then immediately we think, why is God doing this to me? It's as if God is just waiting to give trouble. So immediately we turn that to God. So good things are made by us, caused by our own efforts. Bad things are caused by God. So that is our like kind of innate level of thinking. So the moment they realize these miseries are there for this reason, to make them turn to God. Otherwise, people won't turn. So that's why by design, Krishna has made this world in a way that we will be able to realize that this external material enjoyment that we are busy with is temporary. So then people can actually turn to them. So otherwise, without that kind of a desire, it's very difficult. Even though everything is before your eyes, you don't have desire. So
Okay,
lack
yeah,
of
makes
desire
sense.
comes. So that, how can you overcome that? That comes by association. That is why bhakti janayati, like bhakti sanjayate bhakti, means bhakti is born out of bhakti. That means bhakti in the heart of one devotee evokes the emotion in the hearts of the others. So if we lack desire, the only way in this world that you can gain desire to please Krishna and come closer to him is to associating with devotees. There is no other way. So the quickest way is to actually, like, we can go through millions of lifetimes getting all the kicks and the knocks by Maya and then coming to realization. But the easiest way is actually associating with devotees and developing that desire gradually. So coming to the third verse, so far we have been seeing that what is the qualification for receiving the spiritual knowledge, non-enviousness, that at least we need to theoretically accept. Prabhupada writes in the introduction, at least one should theoretically understand Krishna as a supreme person in order to understand this message of Bhagavad Gita. So at least theoretically we should believe that there is a supreme power. So I am not that supreme power. There is another supreme power which is bigger than me. So unless and until that attitude is not there, so then that envy will not allow them to understand the glories of Krishna. And the second, is we saw, is the nature of this knowledge, that how it's the purest and it's the perfection of religion. It gives direct perception of the soul. It's joyfully performed and it's an eternal path. And now Krishna is again saying, if somebody is not faithful in this devotional service, is not faithful about the knowledge that Krishna is giving, then they cannot actually attain Krishna. It's the same, Purva, that what you just asked. Why does some people does not take to it? Because there is no faith. Because there is no faith, they will not apply the knowledge. Because they are not applying the knowledge, they will not have realization. So then they are carried away by their own karma. That's all. So the question for us to think is, why do you think Krishna emphasizes faith as a prerequisite for understanding this knowledge? How does faith influence your learning process in your own life, be it spiritual or in general acquiring knowledge? What do you think, what is the role of faith? Do you think, what role does faith play in acquiring knowledge?
I think that once you have faith in someone or you trust somebody, it's easy to follow that. It's easy to just take advice from that person, or even tell your problems to that person, or just to to trust that person with anything and everything, because
Yeah,
you know
so
that, well, you know that you're safe with that person, so
mm,
everything works on
it
that.
opens the heart basically, because bhakti is a path of heart, so it opens the heart, where the faith, as you're rightly saying, when there is faith, then we are leaning into the relationship. We are open to become vulnerable, we are open to take advice. So our heart is open, and it becomes easy for the sharing to happen. So Krishna's heart is always open for everyone, but if the opposite person's heart is closed, so then the transmission cannot happen. So that is why Krishna is saying one needs to have faith. Faith is the symptom of an open heart. So, but what kind of faith? We will discuss that also. It's going to come. So, does faith means we just cannot ask questions, we cannot have doubts, we cannot have like reservations in, like, can we not have some kind of doubts and like, do we need, if we need more explanation in trying to trust something, is that wrong? So what is this Krishna indicating here? Is he asking for, demanding for blind faith? What do you guys think? Are you willing to put blind faith?
Krishna's not asking for blind faith. I don't at any point. Like in fact, I think multiple times he says to question and do not like blindly follow anything.
Mhm.
So I don't think that's what he's asking for. I think the faith really comes in, as you said, like in your relationship with him, to trust him when you surrender to him. But I don't think it's like blind faith in teachings. He wants you to question it so that you can understand it better,
Mhm.
and
You can
understand the knowledge
you can
better.
introspect and interrogate, or like kind of ask questions, but like, are you open to even asking questions? Like sometimes some people are even like, okay, I don't care about spirituality, it does not make sense. They have not inquired it, they have not applied it, they have not clarified their doubts, because I have doubts and I know you don't have answers. That is called as cynicism. I won't even ask my doubts because I know you don't have answers. So Krishna is saying that is not good. Like, I'm saying the same thing what you should just share, Parnika. Does it make sense? I'm just reflecting you.
Yes, Prabhu. It makes
Okay.
sense. I didn't even think from that perspective.
Okay, no, I was just reflecting you.
But
Yes.
uh,
Purva?
but Prabhuji, I agree with what Parnika said. However, I feel that the first step of in Bhakti Yoga, when you don't know anything about Krishna, when you like, let's say you don't have any family background, who like people who are following Krishna or anything, I think the first step that you take is would be to blindly just believe what others are telling you, and then through your experiences you start believing, and then you start questioning, and then you start getting answers. But the first step I think you take as an individual who has completely no background would be to just trust for a moment blindly, and then rest, everything follows.
So I think it's the, we are like kind of caught up in the connotation of the word blind faith. So accepting something is not blind faith, but accepting something without experimenting is considered as blind faith. So you are accepting from them, but you are applying, right? You applied it and then you have questions, so you are verifying those questions. So that is not blind faith. So it's just the connotation, it's just the word, we are like kind of going getting like mental about it. So yes, you accepted something, but you did verify, right? You asked questions, you applied it, so that is called as proper way.
Yes, but sometimes people around me, they ask me questions and I don't have answers. And even though I tell them, okay, I'll search and I'll come back to you, I mean, probably I don't search that well. I'm unable to find those answers. And then they tell me, oh, look, this is what you're following. It's completely blind faith. Like you don't have the answers to your own questions, or you know,
Like you are like beginning the path, so you may not know answers for everything, but you know people who have answers.
yes,
So that faith is considered proper, because
yes.
you are not like saying, I'm not like, I don't care about all these questions, I don't care about all the answers. You're willing to find answers and you're growing in your abilities. So as you grow more and know more, you'll be able to give answers to them. So you always know people who know answers, so you're willing to ask questions, apply with intelligence. So that is not blind faith, it's the process of growing. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Ishwari. For some reason I'm not able to hear you.
Sorry about that. I forget about this little piece here. Yeah, I'm glad that Purva just mentioned this. There's often curiosity about my path too, especially with people who are not aware of the path at all, like at work or, friends that I haven't seen in a long time or relatives. And I think that the knowledge is there in my head of why I believe and why I have faith. And I know it's not blind faith. But when I get asked a lot of questions and I know that it's not true interest, it's just a debate that's about to form, or it could be that I just don't know how to say it properly and I'm not qualified yet, if I ever am in this lifetime, to do it. So I always reply, I could explain this to you, but I prefer you get the answers from somebody who has deeper knowledge of this, and I could direct you there, or I could give you a link or something. Or if I know that it's a debate and it's a challenge, I would say my faith is not up for debate. And I end it there. And that's it.
Yeah. No, it's very smart and it's very practical. That's what is actually prescribed in the scriptures. So you're doing perfectly what is suggested by Rupa Goswami. So he says, like, if it's just for the sake of debate, so you can protect your faith. You are totally right in trying to protect your faith and defending your own faith. And if you know someone's cynicism is much more stronger than my faith, it's not that I lack faith, it's just that they are not even open to listen to anything. They're just going to be cynical and they're just going to make me attack my faith, literally. They're not interested in knowing, they are like more interested in attacking. It's completely right to be self-preserving of our own faith. So that's a sign of a Madhyamadikari. So he knows who to engage with and who not to engage with. So it's fine. So thank you. Hope this kind of added value to this particular verse, throwing light why Krishna is saying that those who are not faithful, they will not be able to attain Krishna because they won't be able to apply the knowledge that they are receiving, even if they are receiving it, if they don't have faith in it. So this is the first 3 verses. We just spoke about the